Most people spend their entire lives waiting for fear to vanish before they take action. They are waiting for a ghost to leave a room it doesn't inhabit. The secret isn't the absence of fear, it's the interrupt mechanism. What if I told you that a single 3-second mental pivot could turn a paralyzing panic attack into a surge productive adrenaline? Today, we stop surviving your thoughts and start directing them. Chapter 1. The Biology of the Brake Pedal. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Nelson Mandela. Stop. Take a breath. Right now. Feel the air hitting the back of your throat. That breath is proof of life. But are you actually living, or are you just hiding inside a body that's terrified of being seen? You feel that tightness in your chest when you think about quitting your job, making that investment, or speaking your truth. That isn't logic. That isn't wisdom. That is a prehistoric ghost screaming inside your skull. It is the brake pedal of your soul, slammed to the floor by a brain that thinks a bad business deal is the same thing as being eaten by a mountain lion. Inside your head, there is a tiny almond-shaped piece of wet tissue called the amygdala. It's old. It's ancient. It doesn't care about your bank account. It doesn't care about your legacy, your dreams, or the fire in your gut. It only cares about one thing: making sure you don't die today. In the world of our ancestors, different meant dead. Standing out meant being kicked out of the tribe. And being kicked out of the tribe meant freezing to death in the dark. So your brain built a cage. It wired a circuit that triggers a flood of chemicals, cortisol and adrenaline, the moment you try to do something big. It's a biological hijack. Your heart races. Your palms sweat. Your vision narrows. You think you're being careful, but you're actually being possessed by a survival reflex that is 2 million years out of date. You are using a Stone Age operating system to try and build a Space Age life. It will never work. Look at your life. Look at the money you haven't made. Look at the doors you haven't knocked on. Most people call this waiting for the right time. I call it what it is: biological cowardice. You are letting a clump of gray matter treat your potential like a crime scene. When you feel that surge of anxiety, your brain is trying to save you. But in the modern world, what saves your body kills your future. Safety is the most expensive thing you will ever buy, and you are paying for it with your life. The lizard inside your head hates the unknown. It wants you to stay in the cave. It wants you to keep the same friends, the same salary, and the same small thoughts. It whispers that you aren't ready. It tells you that people will laugh. It tells you that if you fail, you lose everything. None of that is true. These are just electrical signals meant to keep you shivering in a corner where nothing can hurt you and nothing can grow. You have to understand the mechanics of the brake. When you slam the brakes on a car, the momentum stops. The heat builds up in the pads. Eventually, if you keep the brakes on while trying to go fast, things start to smoke. Things start to break. This is why you feel exhausted. This is why you feel burnout even when you haven't done anything. You are pushing the gas pedal of your ambition with one foot, while your biology has the brakes slammed down with the other. It is time to cut the brake line. Think about the last time you had a big idea. Maybe it was a business, a book, or a bold move in the market. For 5 seconds, you felt like a god. You felt the heat of the sun on your face. Then the hijack happened. The what-ifs started crawling out of the basement. What if I lose my savings? What if my family thinks I'm crazy? What if I'm not as good as they are? In less than a minute, the fire was out. The amygdala won. You went back to your coffee, back to your scrolling, back to your slow, quiet death. This is not a personality flaw. It is a hardware issue. You aren't lazy. You aren't not a business person. You are just a human being who has become a slave to a safety reflex. You are treating social rejection like a physical wound. You are treating a drop in your bank balance like a lack of oxygen. But you are not a caveman. You are a creator. You are a force of nature wrapped in skin and bone. And it is time you started acting like the master of the house instead of the servant. The brain is a marvelous tool, but it is a terrible master. If you let it run on autopilot, it will always choose the path of least resistance. It will always choose the couch over the gym. It will always choose the paycheck over the profit. It will always choose the silence over the stage. Why? Because the couch is safe. The paycheck is certain. The silence is invisible. Your brain thinks that by keeping you small, it is keeping you alive. But I am here to tell you that the cave is gone. The mountain lions are dead. The only thing left to fear is the person you didn't become because you were too busy listening to a scared piece of anatomy. You need to recognize the feeling of the hijack the moment it starts. That cold shiver? That's not a warning. That's a green light. In the new world, the world of wealth, power, and impact, fear is a compass. If it doesn't scare you, it's probably not worth your time. If it doesn't make your heart thump, it isn't big enough to change your tax bracket. We have to rewire the connection. We have to train your nervous system to see the scary thing as the necessary thing. Stop trying to be fearless. That's a lie sold by people who don't understand biology. Courage isn't the absence of that chemical flood. Courage is feeling the cortisol burn through your veins, smelling the smoke of your own anxiety, and stepping forward anyway. It's looking at the lizard in your brain and saying, I see you. I know what you're trying to do, but I'm the one holding the keys. We are going to move from a state of defense to a state of offense. No more flinching. No more pulling back when the world gets loud. You were born with a roar, but you've been taught to whisper so you don't wake the neighbors. The neighbors don't pay your bills. The neighbors don't live your legacy.
Every time you hesitate, you are reinforcing the cage. Every time you say tomorrow, you are feeding the lizard. Every time you play it safe, you are telling your brain that the fear is real. You are training yourself to be a victim of your own cells. It stops today. It stops this second. Listen to me. Your biology is a suggestion, not a mandate. You have the power to override the system. You have the ability to stare down the survival reflex and demand more. The wealth you want, the life you crave, the person you know you are behind the mask, they are all waiting on the other side of that chemical spike. They are waiting for you to realize that the brake pedal is an illusion. You are not the fear. You are the one observing the fear. You are the consciousness that can watch the heart race and decide to run toward the fire instead of away from it. That is where the money is. That is where the glory is. That is where the soul finally starts to breathe. Nature doesn't reward the safe. Nature rewards the bold. It rewards the ones who can endure the discomfort of the new until it becomes the normal. Your brain will fight you. It will scream. It will throw every doubt in the book at you. Let it scream. Let it throw its fit. You just keep walking. The simple trick we are going to master isn't about positive thinking. It's about a raw, neurological strike. It's about interrupting the signal before it becomes a wall. You are about to learn how to snatch the wheel back from your instincts and drive straight into the storm. Because on the other side of that storm isn't a cliff, it's an ocean of opportunity that most people are too terrified to even look at. Stand up. Straighten your spine. Feel the weight of your own potential. The biology of the brake pedal has held you back long enough. The cave is empty. The sun is up. It is time to move. Get out of the cave and never look back.
Chapter 2. The Pattern Interrupter. Your life is controlled by what you focus on. If you focus on the fear grows. If you focus on the action, the fear dies. Tony Robbins. You are standing on the edge of a cliff. Below you, the life you've always wanted is calling your name. You can see the house, the freedom, the peace of mind, and the massive impact you are meant to make. But between you and that reality lies a thick, suffocating fog. That fog is your fear loop. It's a chemical storm that starts in your gut and climbs into your throat until you can't breathe, can't think, and certainly can't move. You've been here 1,000 times. You get a brilliant idea. Your heart catches fire. Then within seconds, the fire goes out. The loop wins. You stay on the edge, safe and miserable. But today, we are going to break the machine. Fear isn't a mountain you have to climb. It's a record player that's stuck on a scratch. It plays the same terrifying song over and over until you believe the music is part of your soul. It's not. It's just a pattern. And every pattern can be snapped. In the world of high-performance psychology, we call this the cognitive pivot. But you can call it your survival switch. This is a simple trick that will tear the steering wheel out of the hands of your anxiety and put it back in yours. Listen closely. When you feel fear, Your brain is firing electrical signals down a well-worn path. It's like water carving a deep canyon into a rock. The more you hesitate, the deeper that canyon gets. To stop the fear from controlling you, you cannot argue with it. You cannot think your way out of feeling. Trying to debate your fear is like trying to use logic on a hurricane. It doesn't care about your facts. It only cares about the motion. To stop the hurricane, you have to disrupt the air. Here's a trick. The moment you feel that cold grip in your chest, the very second the what-ifs start to crawl into your mind, you must perform a physical and verbal strike. You need an anchor. I want you to pick a word, not a soft word, not a Zen word, a hard, sharp word. Something like stop, switch, or now. This is a pattern interrupter. When the fear hits, you don't wait. You don't analyze. You shout that word internally with the force of a thunderclap. At the same time, you must change your physical state. Snap your fingers. Clap your hands. Stand up straight. This isn't just staying positive. This is a biological hijack of the hijacker. You are slamming a steel rod into the spinning gears of your amygdala. You are forcing your brain to drop the fear thought, to pay attention to the sudden change in your body. The simple trick is a 5-second window. In those 5 seconds, the loop is broken. The fog clears just enough for you to see the next step, not the whole journey, just the next inch of ground. In that window, you must move. If you are sitting, stand. If you are staring at a screen, close it. If you are holding your breath, push it out of your lungs with a grunt. You see, fear is a parasite that feeds on stillness. If you sit still while you are afraid, you are basically inviting the fear to eat you alive. But fear cannot handle motion. When you move your body, you change your blood chemistry. You move from freeze to fight. You move from victim to predator. The cognitive pivot isn't about making the fear go away. It's about making the fear irrelevant. Think about the last time you were about to make a big sales call or invest in yourself. You felt the loop start. I'm going to lose everything. People will think I'm a fraud. Your body started to slump. Your eyes went to the floor. In that moment, you were a slave. Now, imagine that same moment, but instead of slumping, you barked now. In your mind and through your shoulders back, you just broke the spell. The fear is still there. It might be screaming in the background, but you are no longer the one listening. You have pivoted your focus from the threat to the task. This is how the greats do it. Do you think the elite athlete isn't afraid before the championship? Do you think the billionaire isn't shaking when they bet the company on a new vision? They are human. Their biology is just like yours. The difference is they have a shorter loop time. They don't let the fear settle in. They snap the pattern before it hardens into a belief. They use the pivot to turn that nervous energy into raw velocity. The trick works because it uses the brain's own limitations against it. Your mind cannot focus on two intense things at once. It can focus on the terrifying what if, or it can focus on the sharp, physical command you just gave it. You are choosing the command. You are choosing the light over the shadows. Let's be real. This will feel clunky at first. You might feel silly snapping your fingers or shouting stop inside your head. Good. Feeling silly is better than being paralyzed. Being weird is a small price to pay for being wealthy and free. Most people are too concerned with looking cool to ever be great. They stay quiet. They stay normal. And they stay broke, both in their wallets and their hearts. Every time you use a pattern interrupter, you are weakening the old canyon. You are pouring concrete into those grooves of doubt. At first, the fear will try to crawl back. It will say, that was just a trick. You're still in danger. Pivot again. Stop. Move again. Take a step. Write one sentence. Make one click. You are forging a new identity. You are becoming a person who cannot be held. You are becoming someone who views fear as nothing more than a signal to get moving. Imagine the power you will have when you no longer fear the feeling of fear. Imagine the money you can create when you aren't afraid of the no. Imagine the love you can give when you aren't afraid of being hurt. The simple trick is your key to the cage. But a key is useless if you don't put in the lock and turn it. Knowledge is just noise. Action is the only truth. The next time your heart starts to race for the wrong reasons, the next time you feel the heavy weight of I can't. I want you to strike. Break the loop. Snap the pattern. Pivot your focus. The fire is waiting for you. The wealth is waiting for you. But they only belong to the person who is willing to kill the ghost of hesitation. You are that person. You have the tool. You know the mechanics. Now, for the love of everything you hope to become, use it. Don't wait for the fear to pass. It won't. Just move before it can catch you. Your new life starts the moment you stop listening to the lizard and start listening to the leader within. The trick is simple. The result is total. Rise up. The world doesn't belong to the comfortable. It belongs to the ones who can snap their fingers in the face of the storm and keep walking. Go. Do it now. Chapter 3. Decoding the language of what if. The only limit to our realization tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Open your ears to the sound of your own mind. If you sit in silence for just 60 seconds, you will hear a voice. It isn't the voice of your soul, and it isn't the voice of your ambition. It is the voice of the negotiator. This voice is a master of the most dangerous phrase in the human language. What if? Think about the last time you stood at the edge of a breakthrough. You had the plan. You had the spark. Then the negotiator stepped out of the shadows of your mind and started whispering. What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if I lose everything I've worked for? What if I'm just not built for this? This is the language of fear. It is a slow poison that paralyzes your muscles and turns your blood to ice. It doesn't attack you with facts. It attacks you with possibilities that haven't happened and probably never will. You are letting a ghost write the script of your life. Your brain is a prediction machine. Its job is to look into the future and find every sharp edge, every hole, and every predator. But because we don't live in the wild anymore, your brain has turned that power against your dreams. It treats a bad investment like a death sentence. It treats a social blunder like a public execution. When you say, what if, you are literally training your nervous system to expect a disaster. You are rehearsing your own defeat before the game even starts. Every time you entertain a negative, what if, you are digging a grave for your potential. You feel the weight in your shoulders. You feel the drain in your energy. This isn't just overthinking. It is a biological shutdown. Your mind sends a signal to your body that the future is a war zone, and your body responds by hiding. You stop taking risks. You stop making the calls. You settle for a life that is small, gray, and safe. But I'm here to tell you that you can rip that script to pieces. We are going to perform a radical audit of your internal monologue. From this moment on, the phrase, what if, is banned from your vocabulary of doubt. We are going to replace it with a phrase that carries the weight of steel. Even if is the language of the conqueror. It is the foundation of radical self-trust. When a negotiator says, what if you lose the money? You respond with, even if I lose the money, I have the skills to make it back, and then some. When it says, what if they reject you? You answer, even if they reject me, I am still the prize, and I will find the ones who see my value. What if is a question that leaves you weak and searching for cover. Even if is a statement of fact that leaves you standing tall. It is the difference between a leaf blown by the wind and the rock that breaks the wave. You aren't promising yourself that nothing will go wrong. That's a lie, and your brain knows it. You are promising yourself that no matter what goes wrong, you are the one who will fix it. You are the one who will rise. You are the one who will survive the storm and use the wreckage to build a better ship. Look at your history. Think about the hardest days of your life. The times you thought you wouldn't make it. The times the world felt like it was caving in on your chest. You are still here. You didn't just survive. You learned. You forged new bone where the old was broken. You are a survivor by design. Yet you let a what if about a business meeting or a social media post keep you awake at night. It's a joke. You are much more dangerous than you think you are. The negotiator is a liar. It tells you that you are fragile. It tells you that you are one mistake away from total ruin. But look at the concrete beneath your feet. It was poured by people who were afraid. Look at the wealth in the world. It was created by people who had what if screaming in their ears, but they chose to speak even if until the fear went quiet. They didn't have more talent than you. They just had a better filter for the noise in their heads. When you use a cognitive pivot we talked about in the last chapter, and you follow it with an even if statement, you are doing something incredible to your biology. You are moving the energy from the back of your brain, the scared, reactive part, to the front. You are activating the leader. You are telling your nervous system that you are the one in charge. Imagine the freedom of walking into a room, knowing that no outcome can destroy you. If you get the deal, you win. If you don't get the deal, you grow. There is no lose. There is only win or build. When you kill the fear of the outcome, you seize your power. You become unpredictable. You become a force that the market and the world cannot ignore. The money you want is hidden behind the what-ifs you are afraid to face. The legacy you want is on the other side of that internal argument. Stop trying to find a path where nothing goes wrong. That path doesn't exist. Instead, become the person who is okay even when everything goes wrong. That is true wealth. That is real freedom. Take a moment right now. What is the one, what if, that has been holding you back this week? Identify it. Feel it. Now hit it with the even if hammer. Speak it out loud. Feel the shift in your breath. Feel the fire come back into your eyes. You aren't a victim of circumstance. You are the master of your response. The world is full of people who are waiting for a guarantee. They want to know for sure that they won't fail. They will wait forever. They will die with their music still inside them. But not you. You are cutting through the noise. You are done with the negotiation. You are a creator. You are a builder. You are a soul made of light and grit. The next time the shadow whispers, what if, you look in the eye and say, even if, and then you take the next step. You don't ask for permission. You don't wait for the feeling of safety. You just go. The simple trick isn't just a physical snap. It's a mental shift. It is a refusal to let a hypothetical disaster dictate your current reality. You are the author. You hold the pen. The negotiator can stay in the basement where it belongs. You are moving into the light. You are stepping into your velocity. Your life is no longer a question. It is an answer. Speak the language of power. Live the language of trust. Rise above the whisper. The storm may come, but even if it does, you are the one who commands the lightning. Now, go out there and show the world what happens when a human being finally stops being afraid of their own thoughts. Seize your day. Seize your life. Rise higher. Chapter 4. The Wealth-Fear Connection. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. Jordan Belfort. You claim you want to be rich. You say you want the freedom, the assets, and the power to change your family's future forever. But your bank account is telling a different story, and that story is written in the ink of terror. You aren't struggling because you lack a strategy. You aren't stuck because the market is rigged. You are stuck because you are treating your money like a survival blanket instead of a weapon. Most people think they are afraid of losing money, but that is a lie. If you lost $100 in the street, you wouldn't collapse. No, you are actually terrified of losing your place in pack. You are terrified of the shame, the judgment, and the ego-crushing weight of people seeing you fall. This is the wealth-fear connection. It is an invisible chain wrapped around your throat. When you stand on the edge of a major investment or a bold career jump, your brain doesn't see a profit and loss statement. It sees a social guillotine. It whispers that if you fail, you'll be cast out, that you'll be less than, that your status will vanish into thin air. Because of this, you play a game called not losing. And not losing is the fastest, most guaranteed way to stay broke until the day they put you in the ground. Wealth requires a cold, hard divorce from the opinions of the crowd. Look at the people you are trying to impress. Most of them are just as scared as you are. They are huddled together in the middle of the road, clinging to their average paychecks and their average lives because it feels safe. When you try to move to the front of the line, your biology screams. It tells you to get back in the huddle. It tells you that being right and being safe is better than being rich and risky. But safety is a desert. Nothing grows there. True wealth is forged in the heat of the unknown. You have to be willing to look like a fool for a season to live like a king for a lifetime. If you are protecting your ego, you cannot protect your future. Every time you hesitate to pull the trigger on an opportunity because you're worried about what your brother-in-law or your neighbors will think, you are choosing their approval over your freedom. You are trading your legacy for a pat on the back from people who aren't even going where you're going. Think about the simple trick we've been practicing, the pattern interrupter, the cognitive pivot. This is where the steel meets the bone. When you feel the urge to save yourself from a perceived risk, you are actually slamming the brakes on your velocity. You have to realize that money is just energy. It flows toward courage and away from hesitation. If you treat money like a rare resource that might disappear, it will. If you treat it like a tool that you command with absolute certainty, it multiplies. Your brain wants a guarantee. It wants a map where every turn is marked and every bridge is solid. But wealth is a hunt. You have to go into the tall grass where you can't see what's coming. Playing not to lose means you only take the shots you are 100% sure you can hit. That means you stay in the small leagues. You play for pennies while the giants are playing for the horizon. You are trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of maybe and be careful. Let's talk about the biology of the small stake. When you play small, your brain stays in a low-level state of anxiety. You're always watching your back. You're always checking the exits. This drains your creativity. It kills your gut instinct. You can't see the big moves because you are too busy counting the crumbs. To break into the world of real wealth, you have to burn the boats. You have to reach a point where the fear of staying the same is 10 times greater than the fear of losing what you have. Most people die with a safe amount of money in a safe bank account, having lived a safe life that no one will remember in 50 years. Is that what you want? To be a footnote in the history of the cautious? Or do you want to be the storm? The high-performance mind treats failure as a data point, not a death blow. If an investment goes south, it's just a tuition fee for the next win. If a business fails, it's just a pile of scrap metal you can use to forge a better engine. But if you let fear dictate your moves, you don't even get the data. You just get the regret. And regret is a weight that gets heavier every year until it breaks your back. Wealth isn't just about what's in your pocket. It's about the thickness of your skin. You have to build a nervous system that can handle the red. You have to be able to look at a loss and not lose your breath. You have to be able to hear the laughter of the crowd and not lose your stride. When you detach your self-worth from your net worth, you ironically become much more capable of making the big moves that create massive wealth. You become dangerous. You become a person who can't be bribed with security. Stop asking if it's safe. Start asking if it's worth it. Every dollar you have is a soldier. Are you keeping your soldiers in the barracks because you're afraid they might get hurt? Or are you sending them out to conquer territory? The fear of failure is just a mask for the fear of being seen. Rip the mask off. Let them see you. Let them see you try. Let them see you fail. And then let them watch you get back up and take everything they were too afraid to go after. You have the even if tool now. Use it. Even if I lose this round, I'm the kind of person who wins the war. Even if this doesn't work, I will be smarter, faster, and more lethal in the next move. This is how you bridge the gap between performance psychology and your bank account. You stop reacting to the numbers and start dictating the reality. Wealth is a choice you make before you ever see a cent. It is the choice to value your potential more than your comfort. It is the choice to trust your hands more than the market. If you are waiting for the fear to leave before you start building your empire, you have already lost. The fear stays. The courage is what you bring to the table. You were not born to be a tenant in someone else's world. You were born to be a landlord of your own destiny. But the rent is paid in courage. The rent is paid in the willingness to be wrong, to be judged, and to be broke for a moment so you can be wealthy for an eternity. The chain is thin, break it. The huddle is crowded, leave it. The brakes are on, cut them. You are a force of nature. And the only thing stopping the flood is a few scared thoughts about what the neighbors might think. Forget the neighbors. Forget the safety. Get into the hunt. Rise higher. The view from the top is only for those who weren't afraid to fall. Take the move. Now. Chapter 5. Exposure Therapy. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Dale Carnegie. You cannot think your way into bravery. You can read every book on the shelf, listen to every mentor on the planet, and study the brain until you can map every nerve. But until you put your boots on the ground, you are just a spectator in your own life. Courage is a muscle. If you don't use it, it withers. If you don't stress it, it stays soft. Most people spend their lives waiting for a big moment to show what they are made of. They wait for the giant storm to prove they are a captain. But you don't learn to sail in a hurricane. You learn by taking the boat out when the water is choppy, when the wind bites, and when your gut is telling you to stay on the dock. We are going to start your training in the dirt. We are going to use a simple trick in the small, messy corners of your day so that when the $1,000,000 moment arrives, your body knows exactly what to do. This is exposure therapy in microdoses. We are going to hunt for discomfort. We are going to make no your favorite flavor. Because once you realize that a no cannot break your bones or stop your heart, you become the most dangerous person in the room. You become a person who cannot be threatened because you have already survived the worst thing your ego can imagine: rejection. I want you to go out and collect 10 rejections today. Not maybe later. Not I'll think about it. I want 10 hard, flat no's. Ask for a discount at the grocery store for no reason. Ask a stranger for a seat that isn't empty. Pitch an idea to your boss that you know is a stretch. Most people spend their energy trying to avoid these moments. They craft their life to be a smooth, rejection-free ride. They are deathly afraid of the awkward silence, the weird looks, or the "who do you think you are?" stare. But every time you dodge a small discomfort, you are feeding the lizard in your brain. You are telling your nervous system that no is a predator. You are keeping your courage muscle weak and flabby. When you go out to hunt these 10 rejections, the fear loop will start. You'll stand at the counter or pick up the phone, and your heart will start that familiar thumping. Your breath will get shallow. The negotiator will whisper, "Don't do it. It's embarrassing. Just be normal." That is your cue. This is where you strike. Snap, stop, or whatever anchor you've chosen. You break the loop before it can choke you. You execute the cognitive pivot. You shift your focus from the shame to the target. You move your body. You open your mouth. You ask the question. And when the no comes, and it will, I want you to feel the air in your lungs. Look around. Is the roof falling? Is your bank account empty? Are you bleeding? No. You are standing there, alive and stronger than you were 10 seconds ago. You just earned a trophy. You just rewired a circuit. By seeking out no, you are desensitizing your biology. You are showing your amygdala that social friction is not a death threat. You are teaching your brain that you can handle the heat. This is the secret of the wealthy and the powerful. They aren't smarter than you. They've just been told no more times than you've even tried. They build up a callus on their soul that makes them immune to the opinions of others. They are no proof. Imagine if you did this every day for a month, 300 rejections. By the end of those 30 days, you wouldn't recognize a person in the mirror. Your posture would be different. Your voice would have a weight to it that people can feel. When you walk into a high-stakes negotiation, you won't be sweating. Why? Because you've already been rejected by the barista, the car salesman, and the guy on the street. You've already survived the fire. The big fear becomes a small hurdle because your courage muscle is now made of cold-rolled steel. Most people are paralyzed by the "what if they say no?" We already fixed that. Now we use even if. Even if they say no, I've hit my quota for the day. Even if they think I'm crazy, I'm the one getting stronger while they stay safe. This is how you take the power back. You stop being the prey and start being the hunter. You start looking for the no because you know that on the other side of 10 rejections is the one yes that changes everything. Wealth is a numbers game. Success is a volume game. If you only ask once, you are a victim of luck. If you ask 1,000 times, you are a master of math. But you can't get to 1,000 asks if you are terrified of the first 10. We are training your nervous system to stay calm in the face of friction. We are building the action default. Think about the physical reality of this. Every time you pivot and act, you are firing a specific neurological path. You are coding that path in myelin. You are making the simple trick an automatic response. Soon, you won't even have to think, stop. The moment fear appears, your body will instinctively lean into it. You will become a heat-seeking missile for the very things that used to make you hide. I've seen people double their income in months just by mastering this one chapter. Not because they learn a new trade, but because they stop being afraid to ask. They stop being afraid to be seen trying. They stop letting the ghost of awkwardness hold their wallet. They realize that the world is just a giant room full of people who are also scared, and the person who acts first gets the lead. Stop being a polite loser. Stop waiting for the world to give you a sign that it's okay to move. The only sign you need is the fear itself. If you feel it, that is the target. If it makes you want to look away, stare at it. If it makes you want to stay silent, speak up. Go out right now. Find your first no. Don't make it a maybe. Make a hard no. Feel the rush of the hijack. Snap the pattern and ask anyway. Do it until the no doesn't hurt. Do it until the no makes you laugh. Do it until you realize that you are the captain of this ship, and no amount of wind can knock you off course. The world is waiting for someone who isn't afraid to be told no. The wealth is waiting for someone who can handle the friction. The legacy is waiting for the one who treats fear like a workout. You are in the gym of the soul now. There is no such thing as failure here. There is only weight and resistance. And resistance is what makes you grow. Lift the weight. Seek the friction. Collect your rejections like gold coins. Rise higher. The view is clearer when you aren't hiding behind a mask of safety. Go get your 10. Now. Stomach twists into a hard, cold knot. You've been taught to call this anxiety. You've been told that these sensations mean something is wrong, that you are in danger, that you should back away and hide until the feeling stops. That is a lie that is costing you millions. It is a lie that is keeping your soul in a cage of quiet desperation. Those physical signs, the racing pulse, the rush of heat, the sharpened focus, are not signs of weakness. They are signs of power. It is your body dumping high-octane fuel into your system, so you can perform a level that normal people can't touch. The only difference between a panic attack and a peak performance is the name you give it. We're going to stop trying to calm down. Calming down is for people who want to stay at the bottom. When you are about to do something that changes your life, your body doesn't want to be calm. It wants to be ready. We are going to take that fire, and we are going to use it to forge a new reality. We are going to rebrand the burn. Listen to your biology. When you are terrified, your heart beats fast. When you are incredibly excited, your heart beats fast. When you are scared, your breath gets short. When you are thrilled, your breath gets short. The physical data is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the story you tell yourself about it. If you tell yourself, I am scared, your brain shuts down. If you tell yourself, I am excited, your brain opens up. It is a simple flip of a switch, but it is the difference between choking and soaring. I want you to try this right now. Think of a task you've been avoiding because it makes you feel anxious. Feel that familiar tightness start to creep in. Now, instead of fighting it, lean into it. Smile. Say it out loud. I am excited. Do it again. I am excited. Don't try to believe it yet. Just say it. You are giving your brain a new set of instructions. You are telling your nervous system that the adrenaline in your blood is a gift, not a threat. You are moving from a state of threat to a state of challenge. When you label the feeling as excitement, you change how your heart pumps. Studies in the labs at top universities show that people who say, I am excited before a big test or speech actually have more dilated blood vessels than those who try to stay calm. Their blood flows better. Their brains get more oxygen. They think faster. They hit harder. The burn you feel is just energy looking for a place to go. If you don't get a direction, it will turn inward and eat you. If you get a target, it will carry you over the finish line. Stop being afraid of your own strength. Most people spend their whole lives trying to feel comfortable. They want a life where their heart rate never goes up and their palms never get wet. That is the life of a ghost. That is a life of zero impact. If you want to create lasting wealth, if you want to be a master of your own mind, you have to fall in love with the burn. You have to see the sweat and the shaking hands as proof that you are finally playing for real stakes. Think about an elite sprinter at the starting blocks. Their heart is screaming. Their muscles are twitching. Do you think they are telling themselves, oh no, I'm so anxious? No, they are telling themselves, it's time to go. The engine is primed. The fire is lit. They have mastered the art of feeling the pressure without letting it crush their bones. They have turned the fear into velocity. This is emotional intelligence in its rawest form. It isn't about being nice or balanced. It is about knowing how to handle your own electricity. When the simple trick snaps you out of the loop, the reframe gives you the direction. Stop. I am excited. Now I am ready. You are no longer a victim of your hormones. You are the commander of your chemistry. I've stood in rooms with world leaders and billionaires. I've seen them right before they make moves that would make most people pass out. They aren't cool as ice. They are vibrating with energy. They are pushed to the limit. But they have trained themselves to look at that vibration and see it as a superpower. They don't choke because they don't see the sensation as an enemy. They see it as the wind beneath their wings. You have been playing small because you're afraid of a feeling. Think about how ridiculous that is. You are letting a thumping heart stop you from owning your future. You are letting a bit of sweat keep you from the wealth you deserve. No more. The next time the fire starts, don't reach for the extinguisher. Reach for the bellows. Blow on the flames. Use the energy to speak louder, move faster, and think sharper. This is how you become untouchable. When you no longer fear the sensation of fear, you have no limits. The world can't scare you if you use its threats as fuel. The market can't shake you if you see the crash as a rush of adrenaline that clears your vision. You become a person who thrives where others faint. You become the one who keeps their head while everyone else is losing theirs. It takes practice. It takes grit. You have to do it when it's hard. You have to do it when the stakes are high and your ego is screaming for safety. But every time you rebrand that burn, you are forging a soul of steel. You are teaching your brain that you are a predator of opportunities, not a prey of circumstances. Feel the air in your lungs. Feel the blood in your veins. That is the sound of your potential waking up. It's loud. It's messy. It's intense. And it is exactly what you need to get to the top. Stop asking for the path to be easy. Ask for your heart to be strong enough to handle the hard. Label the fear as fire. Label the pressure as power. Label the anxiety as excitement. The world is waiting for the version of you that doesn't blink when the heat turns up. The wealth is waiting for the one who can ride the storm instead of running for cover. Rise higher. The view is better when you're standing in the flames. Go. Do it now. Chapter 7. Identifying Root Shadows. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. You think you are making decisions based on present, but you are lying to yourself. Most of the time, you aren't the one driving the car. You are sitting in the passenger seat, while a wounded, terrified 7-year-old version of yourself slams on the brakes. That fear you feel when you're about to speak up in a meeting, the one that makes your throat dry and your heart hammer, that isn't about your boss. That is a ghost. It is a shadow from a time when you were small and someone told you to be quiet. It is an imprint, a scar on your nervous system that hasn't healed, and it is running your bank account into the ground. We call this the ghost in the machine. Your brain is a world-class recording device. Every time you were shamed for failing, every time you saw your parents fight over a stack of unpaid bills, and every time you were told that people like us don't get ahead, your brain took a snapshot. It didn't just save the memory. It saved the terror. It wired an alarm system that goes off whenever you get too close to the danger of being seen, being rich, or being different. You aren't lazy. You aren't weak. You are just haunted by a past that you haven't faced yet. Stop looking at your current problems as business issues. They are bone-deep identity issues. If you grew up in a house where money was a source of blood and screams, your amygdala has linked wealth with pain. So, when an opportunity to make a massive profit shows up, your brain sees a threat to your safety. It triggers the hijack. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you forget to follow up. It makes you sabotage the deal because deep down, the ghost thinks that staying broke is the only way to stay safe. You have to drag these shadows into the light. If you don't name the ghost, you can't kill it. Think about the specific fear that stops you right now. Is it the fear of being judged? Is it the fear of losing what you have? Go back, close your eyes, and follow that feeling down into your gut. Where did you first feel this? Who told you that you weren't enough? Was it a teacher? A father who never smiled? A neighborhood that felt like a trap. That moment created a rule of survival. And you are still following that rule even though the war ended 20 years ago. You are playing a game with outdated maps. You are trying to find a path to millions using a map drawn by someone who is terrified of losing their job at the factory. It is time to burn the map. It is time to realize that the person who hurt you or the situation that broke you no longer holds a pen. You are the one with the ink. You are the one with the power to rewrite the code. This is where we apply the simple trick to the past. When that old shadow rises, when you feel a familiar "I can't" or "I'm not ready," you must hit it with a thunderclap. Snap. Stop. You don't argue with the ghost. You don't try to explain yourself to the shadow. You simply cut the transmission. You use the pattern interrupter to show your brain that the old signal is dead. You are telling your nervous system, that was then, this is now. I am no longer that child. I am the giant they were afraid I would become. Most people spend years in therapy talking about their ghosts. I don't want you to talk to them. I want you to neutralize them. When you use a cognitive pivot on a past trauma, you are performing surgery on your own timeline. You are taking the emotional charge out of the memory. You are stripping the ghost of its voice. You replace the old rule of survival with a rule of dominion. Instead of "I must hide to stay safe," you declare, "I must be seen to be free." Look at the concrete under your feet. It is solid. It is real. Your past is not. The past is just a collection of electrical pulses stored in a dark room in your skull. It has no teeth unless you give it yours. The only reason the ghost has power is because you keep feeding it your attention. You keep rehearsing the pain. You keep letting the what if of your childhood dictate the even if of your future. Stop feeding the parasite. I knew a man who could never keep more than $10,000 in his account. Every time he got close to a breakthrough, he'd find a way to blow it. He'd get sued, he'd make a bad bet, or he'd just stop working. When we dug into the shadows, we found a ghost. His father had been a hard-working man who lost everything in a market crash and ended up bitter and broken. The son's brain had decided that success equals heartbreak. The ghost was trying to save him by keeping him poor. He had to use a pivot. He had to shout stop. Every time he felt the urge to pull back, he had to forge a new identity, one that could handle the weight of winning. You have to be willing to be the black sheep of your own history. You have to be willing to be happier than your parents were. You have to be willing to be more successful than everyone you grew up with combined. That requires you to betray the ghost. It requires you to be disloyal to the limitations of your bloodline. This isn't about lack of love. It's about the presence of courage. You honor your ancestors by outgrowing their fears, not by repeating them. Feel the space in your chest. That space is yours. It doesn't belong to the people who doubted you. It doesn't belong to the version of you that was bullied or told to sit down. Every time you use a simple trick to cut off a shadow thought, you are reclaiming a piece of your soul. You are building a nervous system that is anchored in the present, in the velocity of the now, instead of the gravity of the back then. The shadows will try to come back. They will wait for you to be tired. They will wait for you to be stressed. They will whisper that you are a fraud, and that eventually everyone will find out. That is when you strike the hardest. That is when you stand the tallest. You don't need a perfectly healed past to have a perfectly powerful future. You just need the grit to stay in the driver's seat. When the ghost starts screaming in the back, you are the architect of your rebirth. The steel in your spine is forged from the very things that tried to break you. Use the fire of your past to light the engine of your future. You are no longer the victim of your history. You are the master of your destiny. The machine is yours. The ghosts are gone. The light is on. Rise higher. The person you were meant to be is waiting on the other side of the shadow. Step into the light. Now. Chapter 8. Action as the ultimate antidote. The path to success is to take massive, determined action. Tony Robbins. You have done the work. You have stared into the shadows. You have mapped the ghosts in your machine, and you have learned to call your racing heart excitement. But now, we come to the moment where the rubber meets the road. All the mental shifts in the world are just smoke and mirrors if they do not end in motion. You cannot think your way into a new life. You cannot visualize your way out of a debt trap. You can have the most optimized brain on the planet. But if you are standing still, you are still a target for the life you're trying to escape. Most people are professional contemplators. They spend years preparing to be ready. They buy more courses. They wait for a sign from the universe. They tell themselves they are researching, but really, they are just hiding in a pile of books because they are terrified of the mess of reality. Reality is loud. It is gritty. It is unpredictable. But it is the only place where wealth is actually built. It is the only place where your power means anything. It is time to stop the talking. It is time to burn the to-do list and start the done list. We're going to master the first 10% rule. This is the move that separates the players from the spectators. The rule is simple. Within 60 seconds of fear thought appearing, you must start the first 10% of the task. Not the whole thing, just the first 10%. If you are afraid of making a sales call, the first 10% is picking up the phone and typing the number. If you are afraid of starting that business, the first 10% is opening a document and writing the name. If you are afraid of a hard conversation, the first 10% is sending a text that says, "We need to talk." Speed is your greatest ally. When you wait, you give the negotiator time to put on his suit and tie. You give him time to prepare a PowerPoint presentation on why you should stay in bed. But when you strike within 60 seconds, you catch your fear off guard. You move faster than your doubt can think. This is how you win. Not by being the smartest, but by being the first to move. The human brain is wired to keep you in the safe zone. Whenever you think about doing something big, your amygdala starts screaming. It wants you to stay in the cave. But when you commit to just the first 10%, you trick your biology. Your brain thinks, "Oh, we're just typing a phone number? That's not dangerous. I can handle that." You bypass the alarm system. And once you have a phone in your hand, the momentum kicks in. The fear is still there, but now it's in the rear view mirror. Stop trying to see the finish line. You don't need to know how the whole project ends. You just need to know what the next 60 seconds look like. If you try to carry the weight of the whole journey, you will break your back before you even take a step. But anyone can handle 60 seconds of action. Anyone can handle the first 10%. You are biting off a piece of the future and chewing it right now. I want you to think of a project you've been thinking about for months. Feel that heavy, stagnant energy in your chest. That is the feeling of a life being wasted. Now, I want you to apply the trick. Snap, stop, break the loop of what if it's not perfect, or what if I'm not ready? Now move. Open the laptop. Call the person. Write the check. Do the first 10%. Right now. Action is the ultimate antidote to fear because it changes your physical reality. When you move, you prove to your nervous system that you are not a victim. You prove that you're the one who acts, not the one who is acted upon. You are creating a winner's loop in your brain. Every time you act, you release a hit of dopamine. You feel a surge of pride. You realize that the mountain you were looking at was actually just a small hill made of your own excuses. The wealthy do not wait for the right time. They know that the right time is a fairy tale for people who are afraid to lose. The right time is when you decide to strike. Success is built in the tiny gaps between the fear thought and the physical movement. If that gap is long, you stay broke. If that gap is short, if it is 60 seconds or less, you become unstoppable. Think about a predator in the wild. A lion doesn't contemplate the hunt for 3 hours. It doesn't write a business plan for the attack. It sees the target. It feels the hunger and it moves. It doesn't care if the grass is too tall or if the sun is too hot. It just goes. You need to get back to that primal speed. You need to stop being so civilized that you've forgotten how to seize what you want. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being prolific. I would rather you make 10 messy, imperfect moves today than one perfect plan that you never execute. The mess is where the money is. The mess is where the growth is. You can fix a bad move, but you can't fix a move that was never made. There is a specific kind of magic that happens when you become a person of action. People can feel it when you walk into a room. You have a velocity about you. You don't ask for permission. You don't wait for the crowd to agree. You just execute. And ironically, the world stays out of the way of someone who knows where they're going. The noise stops. The fear shrinks. You've been letting this simple trick be a mental exercise. Stop it. Today, it becomes a physical command. The moment you feel the hesitation, the moment you feel the ghost of, what if, you pivot and you strike. You don't give your doubt a seat at the table. You don't negotiate with a terrorist. You just move. The 10% rule will change your life because it makes starting easy. And starting is 90% of the battle. Once you are in motion, the fear loses its grip. It's like a car in mud. The hardest part is the first inch. Once the wheels are turning, the mud can't hold you. So, what is the first inch for you today? Is it an email? Is it a workout? Is it a pitch? Whatever it is, the clock is ticking. You have 60 seconds before the negotiator starts talking. Don't let him win. Use the trick. Snap the pattern. Do the first 10%. The wealth you want is on the other side of the tasks you are avoiding. The freedom you crave is hidden inside the work you aren't doing. You have the tools. You have the mindset. Now, you need the grit to be a person of action. The world is full of talkers. Be the one who does. The future belongs to the fast. The fire belongs to the bold. The wealth belongs to the mover. Rise higher. The edge of the cliff is behind you. The air is beneath you. Take the step. Now. Chapter 9. The Fearless Persona, Your New Default. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Socrates, you have spent your entire life wearing a suit of armor made of hesitation. You thought it was protecting you, but all it did was make you too heavy to climb. Every time you used this simple trick over these last few chapters, you were taking off a piece of that metal. You were proving to your brain that the world doesn't end when you take a risk. But there's a danger here. If you only use this power when you are backed into a corner, you're still living like a victim who learned to fight back. I don't want you to be a fighter. I want you to be the commander. We are moving beyond the effort of being brave and stepping into reality of being fearless. This is where the trick disappears because it has become your bone and your blood. This is your new default. Look at how a professional athlete moves. When a star player is in the zone, they aren't trying to be fast. They aren't trying to be accurate. They have moved into a state of flow where the gap between seeing and doing is zero. Their body reacts before the conscious mind can even form a sentence. That is where we are taking your mindset. You are training your nervous system to make courage its natural resting state. Right now, your default setting is probably doubt. You see an opportunity, and your brain automatically looks for the trap. We are flipping that circuit. From now on, you see an opportunity, and your brain automatically looks for the move. This is the birth of the fearless persona. This isn't a mask you put on for meetings or a character you play when you need to make a sale. This is a total rebirth of your identity. You are no longer a person who is trying to be brave. You are a person who acts, period. When you integrate the simple trick into who you are, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't have to shout stop in your head 100 times a day because the negotiator has finally realized he's been fired. He doesn't even show up to the office anymore. Think about the way you brush your teeth or drive to work. You don't need a motivational speech to do those things. You just do them. They are habits, deeply carved grooves in your brain that require zero emotional effort. Courage must become that boring. It must become that automatic. When a high-level investor sees a market crash, they don't have a mental breakdown. They buy. When a world-class speaker sees a crowd of 10,000, they don't vomit. They walk out and speak. It isn't because they are special. It's because they have done it so many times that the fear loop has been replaced by a flow loop. You have to commit to this new identity with every fiber of your being. You can't be fearless on Tuesdays and a coward on Wednesdays. You have to burn the old bridge. You have to be willing to kill the version of you that was careful and safe. That version of you is dead. It died the moment you decided to take control. If you keep trying to keep your old life while building a new one, you will tear yourself apart. You have to step fully into the fire of the new. Let's look at the biology of this shift. Every time you act without hesitation, you are strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles logic, planning, and leadership. You are literally thickening the physical gray matter that allows you to stay calm under pressure. At the same time, you are shrinking the power of the amygdala. You are telling your lizard brain that its services are no longer required. You are rewiring your internal electrical grid. Soon, the very things that used to make you sweat will start to give you a rush of dopamine. You will start to crave the challenge. You will start a hunt for the friction because you know that friction is where the heat is. I know a woman who spent 10 years in a mid-level job, terrified to ask for a promotion or start her own firm. She was the quiet one. She used the trick for 30 days. Every time she felt a spark of an idea, she spoke it. Every time she felt the urge to hide, she stood up. By day 31, she didn't need the trick. She walked into her boss's office, quit, and started a company that now clears 7 figures. When I asked her how she did it, she didn't talk about courage. She said, "I just stopped being the person who waits." That is a shift. You aren't doing something different. You are someone different. The fearless persona handles money differently. It doesn't hoard out of terror. It moves it with intention. It handles relationships differently. It doesn't beg for approval. It commands respect. It handles failure differently. It doesn't see a no as a rejection of its soul. It sees it as a redirection toward a bigger win. When you are in this state of flow, you become magnetic. People can sense that you aren't fighting yourself anymore. They can feel the clarity in your voice and the weight in your eyes. They want to be around that energy. They want to invest in it. They want to follow it. But stay sharp. The world will try to pull you back into the huddle. Your old friends, your family, the media, they all want you to stay scared because your fear makes you predictable. They will tell you that you've changed. They will tell you that you're being reckless or arrogant. Let them talk. Their opinions are the ghosts of a life you no longer live. You are a creature of velocity now. You are moving too fast for their labels to stick. Maintenance of this state requires one thing: relentless execution. If you stop moving, the rust will come back. You have to find one thing every single day that makes your heart race, and you have to do it before you can count to 10. Keep the engine hot. Keep the blood moving. This is an event that happens once. It is a lifestyle of constant expansion. You are either growing or you are rotting. There is no middle ground. You have the steel in your spine now. You have the simple trick as your weapon, but you also have the even if as your shield. You are a complete warrior of the mind. The wealth you are building is just a reflection of the power you have already claimed inside. The conclusion: you now possess the only tool you will ever need to negotiate with your shadows. Remember, the simple trick is only powerful if it is practiced in the moments when your heart is pounding the hardest. You are no longer a victim of your biology. You are the architect of your bravery. Go out and demand from life what you used to be afraid to even whisper. The world is waiting for the version of you that finally said enough